What's up, guys? Glad to be back. I had some kind of cold flu thing kicking my ass for about a week, so glad I'm back and I'll be able to smell and actually talk and sound normal again. Which brings us to today's video for Found North, the whiskey company striving to unlock the potential of Canadian whiskey by creating unique whiskeys for the American whiskey drinker's palate. Today we have two of their newest batches, batch number 5 and batch number 6. Batch 5 is created around an 8-year-old wheated whiskey, aged exclusively in new American oak, while batch number 6 is a 17-year-old age-stated cask strength whiskey bottled at 128.2 proof. Let's try them, eh? Yeah, I can't do Canadian. It's the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C from the Mash and Drum, and welcome back to the show. Like, subscribe, help grow the channel for 2023. Thank you so much for the support. Historically, Found North's first 4 batches were universally applauded, aside from some folks who just don't like Canadian whiskey, which is fair. I mean, they released a couple of ryes, some blended whiskeys, all with high ages, using Hungarian oak, different mash bills, and everything that can really pique the interest of whiskey nerds everywhere. The founders, Nick and Zach Taylor, are both longtime whiskey industry veterans, whiskey nerds, which were on their quest for that next great American whiskey, but found themselves in Canada and creating all these different blends that I mentioned. They also just started releasing some single barrels with different finishes, including toasted casks, sherry, and a few others. Mash and Journey Whiskey Club just released one not too long ago, which is right here. I mean, this thing literally tasted like maple syrup and waffles and pancakes. This was a toasted cask that we did. It was absolutely delicious. All right, let's get into these two new releases. First, batch number 5. So as I mentioned, batch 5 is created around an 8-year-old wheat component aged exclusively in new American oak. Now that was paired with a 21-year-old corn whiskey aged in ex-bourbon and then transferred into new American oak for 8+ years. At 73% 21-year-old corn and 27% 8-year-old wheat, batch number 5 had a bottle outturn of about 2,071 bottles. It's bottled at 116.2 proof, non-chill filtered, priced at $125. So one thing I want to mention is when you see 73 corn, 27 wheat, it's not necessarily a mash bill. What you're looking at is the components of the blend. So you're looking at blend percentages rather than mash bill. So 73, so they took a singular wheat whiskey and they took a singular corn whiskey. They took 73% of that corn whiskey and blended it with 27% of that wheat whiskey to make this blend. So just a little FYI. All right, let's get into this 8-year wheat whiskey. I'm just gonna call it a wheat whiskey. Wow, that's very, very sweet. This comes off like a wheat whiskey, I think, should. It's very light, it's very floral, very fruit forward, but also very, very brown, sugary sweet as well. Man, this gives me like apple, pear, honey, like type vibes to it. Like Granny Smith apple, like a green apple. With a little bit of that honey. I think you do get some of the oak component there, but it's really kind of light and just underlying all that sweetness that you get. It's a very, very sweet nose, so let's give it a try. Wow, the palate's more the same. And it's very good. The first time I had this, I was truly impressed with it. I mean, it's so buttery to me. This comes off like butterscotchy, brown butter. It's extremely buttery to me on the palate. But again, it kind of gives you a little bit of spice. There's a little bit of a little kind of a cinnamon kick there. Maybe almost like a cinnamon red hot type vibe to it, but not overpowering at all. And then it just kind of hits you with all like that sweetness again. The brown sugar, the powdered sugar, the pear, the honey, all of it. Do another sip here. It's interesting because there's no rye in here. However, there is kind of a citrusy, spicy, almost, there's like an illusion of a rye component in here, but there's not. It's just 73, corn and 27 wheat. But that spiciness that it brings, I mean, it could be the type of wheat component they used, giving just a little bit of that spiciness to it. There's almost like a little hint of like a mint. There's a hint of black peppercorn here on the back end as well. So it gives you, there's a slight little rye component to it, even though there's no rye in it, if that probably makes no sense, but I'm just saying. I do get some sort of mintiness, especially on the back end of this. But it drinks like a wheater. It's very easy sipping on the front of the palate. But that butteriness that it gives you, and the honey component, it's like someone took apple cider, spiked it a little bit, threw some honey in it, threw some black pepper in it, and that's what I feel like this is. This is a very impressive blend. I really like the spice of it, the balance, everything I really look for in a whiskey. All right, let's try the batch number 6, which has a nice little 17-year-old age statement on it. All right, so batch 6 is bottled at 128.2 proof. Now this is a 5 whiskey blend, so try to follow this. Here we go. The primary component, which makes up 65% of the blend, is the same foundational whiskey that was used in batch number 2, only 20 months older. So fully, this is a blend of 17 to 26-year-old whiskeys aged in New Hungarian, New American, and ex-bourbon barrels. 87 corn, 12 rye, 1% malted barley, non-chill filtered. Again, remember, this isn't a typical mash bill. The percentages you see are whiskey percentages, not grain percentages. This one retails for 150 bucks. All right, so let's dive into this one. Oh man, this gets a little darker. Oh, for sure. Oh man, you go back and forth on these. Wow. This one gets way more of like that butterscotchiness for me on the nose coming off of this one. All right, let's just focus on this one now. Just straight up maple syrup on here. Very similar to what I was telling you what we found in the barrel pick we did. Very maple syrup forward. I'm getting like an apple peel in here. It's not so much the fresh cut apple, but more of an apple peel. There's some nice aged notes in there too. You definitely get the oak presence here. Get a little barrel char, a little bit of smoke. This is very specific, but do you guys know what the Riesen chocolate candy chews? I think it's like what R-I-E-S-E-N, I think is how you pronounce it. Riesen. I know it's a very specific candy note, but I feel like that's what I'm picking up in here. It's not like just chocolate. It's that specific type of like chocolate chew type scent that I'm getting. Little molasses too, I think. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just a little bit more of like a heavy molasses type note. All right, let's try this one. Oh man. That takes you for a little bit of a walk on the dark side there, which is what I love. Just that last note I was getting with the molasses, that definitely translates to the palate. And this comes off thick and rich. I mean, I don't really know where to go other than that. I mean, again, I get the maple syrup. I get that rich, chocolatey, molassesy type of note to it. Maybe a little bit of like a dark honey. Not a light honey, but like a dark honey type flavor. This little like extra kick of sweetness on the back end. Then the finish on this is, again, it's a little bit peppery. There is some rye in this one. There's 12% rye, so I feel like you do get that on the back end of this one. There's a nice little lingering finish here. That second sip took me into a sweeter place. So some of the similar notes I was getting in the in batch 5 in the wheater, coming through with a little bit more of like that buttery, like that butterscotchiness that I was getting in batch 5 as well. A little bit darker though. Everything's just a little bit darker in this bottling, and I mean that makes sense given the ages of whiskeys in here. But one note that I'm also picking up here on the very end of this is this like this really rich vanilla extract too, that kind of sneaks in just on the very end. I feel like, with all the components in this bottle, I just feel like as you get down this bottle, just more stuff's gonna open up. Wow, this thing is just all over the place. It takes you from molasses to dark honey to rye. Then all of a sudden this sweet comes in, the brown sugars, again, more of like that recent chocolate chew type note I'm picking up. And it actually is kind of chewy. This whiskey has a lot of heft to it, which I do like. And there's a little bit of nuttiness too, I think, as well. This is This is a fantastic whiskey for this time of year because I think it's thick, it's rich, it's deep, and it's warming. All right, so let's final break down both of these bottles. Here we go. All right, final breakdown on these two Found North bottles. Batch 5 retails for 125 bucks, while the 17-year-old Batch 6 is at 150. Secondary market value, we don't really see these on secondary at all. And when you talk about availability, these aren't available in many states, but they do have a website that you can go to and actually order these whiskeys online. So I feel like if you have a website and you could ship to a good amount of states, and I still feel like the word really isn't too much out on these. I feel like the availability on here is gonna be, I won't say great, but I'll say good. All right, so let's talk about value here. When we talk about value for both of these bottles, I'm gonna say they're good. I think they're good values for what you get. I mean, you're looking at 17 to 26-year-old whiskey in this bottle for 150 bucks, which, I mean, I know people have a predisposition to Canadian, like I don't really want to sip Canadian, but I think Found North is really pushing the envelope here to like change that game a little bit for everyone, change that perception, and I think they're doing it really well with this bottle. I do think that this one, Batch 6, is the better value. However, Batch 5 might be the one that's more universally loved because of how sweet and approachable it is. What's the most I'd pay? I would go at retail for both of these. I absolutely love what they're putting out. I love the uniqueness of the blends, and I think the prices for the ages you get and the uniqueness of whiskey, I think it's a good value. Alternatives. Alternatives on these are tough. I don't really think you're gonna find anything that close to this. I mean, there are a lot of blended Canadian whiskeys out there, but I just don't think you're gonna find it non-chill filtered, all these different ages, different types of oaks, cask strength, non-chill filtered, all of those stats. The only thing I could think maybe using something similar to this would be Bardstown Discovery Series. And Bardstown Discovery Series, which is using stuff that's out of Georgia, stuff from Canada. They're using corn whiskeys in their blends as well. So if I had to create an alternative, it might be that. However, the Discovery Series from Bardstown Bourbon Company are more expensive than these. And is this a recommend? For my palate, I would go for the 17 to 26-year-old whiskeys in this one. I love the darker palate, the darker, richer flavors. However, I do think that this wheater would be more of a universal favorite. It is sweet, it is easy sipping, it's got a little bit of spice to it, it is absolutely delicious. I think folks with the sweeter palates will definitely love the sweeter. However, if you like the darker flavors, then definitely get the 17 to the 17 year, the Batch 6. I think either way, you're not gonna really miss on either of these bottles. So whether you pick one or the other, I think you'll be pretty happy. I absolutely love it. I think these are the best blends that they've put out yet. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this review for the two Found North batches, batch number 5 and batch number 6, the newest batches that they've put out. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. If you haven't yet, find me on Instagram, find me on Twitter. Let me know if you've tried any Found North yet, what you think, if you're planning on maybe seeking out these two batches. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. Cheers to you guys. See you next time right here in the Mash and Drum. I'm gonna drink the 17 year. Cheers, guys.